We got
interested in self-improvement, healing, and growth, then I have exactly what you
shut
need.
the fuck. We got Ringo made why made you are why Ringo made people so mad, bro.
Rango has become known as one of the biggest anomalies of the 2010s. It doesn't look or feel like anything else from its era.
Instead of motion capture, it's kind of emotion capture.
And the Oscar goes to Rango Gorbabinsky.
With its gritty animation, oddly existential humor, and offbeat tone, the movie
This shit still look good for back then, bro. When this came out, I remember seeing this when I was a light, see, bro. And this shit still look good for back then. Shit crazy.
is one of a kind. But
Like this shit was literally legit, like ahead of its time, bro. And I didn't even know Johnny Depp voiced him. I didn't even know who Johnny Depp was when I first watched this, cause I was like, I don't know who the fuck, you know what I'm saying?
stand out.
Who knows? As a child, you don't know actors, do you?
Made it so divisive when it first hit theaters. While critics praised its bold style, some parents were genuinely offended. Complaints poured in about the language, depictions of smoking, and the way it handled its spiritual themes. There were calls for a stricter rating, and some even labeled the film sacrilegious. From the very beginning, Rango's development was unconventional. It wasn't some big corporate attempt to compete with Pixar
Wait,
and
States of
DreamWorks.
Play.
The film was a near decade-long passion
It's
project.
States of Play today. Let me Google this shit.
Where everything slowly fell into place. The idea for the movie first emerged in 2003 during a breakfast meeting between director Gore Verbinski, producer John B. Carls, and author David Shannon, who was best known for children's books like A Bad Case of Stripes and No David. They pitched an idea for a western about creatures in the desert, and while the premise was simple, it resonated with all three of them. Verbinski was eager to start working on the film. They had already drawn some concept art, and
Shout out to Don't I saw that shit.
time he was already in the middle of directing Pirates of the Caribbean, so he decided to hold off until he was done with the project. But Gore had no idea just how successful Pirates of the Caribbean would be, and after it ended up grossing over $600 million, they had to do more.
Boy, Johnny Depp was running shit back in the day, boy. Pirates of the Caribbean, like, that shit was big as fuck, boy.
And third Pirates films. By 2007, he had helped Disney create a billion-dollar franchise and gained extensive experience working with some of the top VFX artists in the industry. With that behind him, Gore Verbinski could revisit their rough idea from 4 years earlier, the one that would slowly take shape. As critics praised its bold style, some parents were genuinely offended. Complaints poured in about the language, depictions of smoking, and the way it handled its spiritual themes. There were calls for a stricter rating, and some even labeled the film sacrilegious. From the
Some will just be getting mad over nothing, sir. What you mean you getting mad at a animated movie, bruh? Like it's affecting your kids. Like, just I don't know if it's this hard, bruh. Just make them not watch the movie. Just not show them the movie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. People just be having too much time in their hands, etc.
very beginning, Rango's development was unconventional. It wasn't some big corporate attempt to compete with Pixar and DreamWorks. The film was a near decade-long passion project where everything slowly fell into place. The idea for the movie first emerged in 2003 during a breakfast meeting between director Gore Verbinski, producer John B. Carls, and author David Shannon, who was best known for children's books
I don't got two first names. That's crazy.
like A Bad Case of Stripes and No David. They pitched an idea for a western about creatures in the desert, and while the premise was simple, it resonated with all three of them. Verbinski was eager to start working on the film. They had already drawn some concept art and written a short outline of their vision, but at the time he was already in the middle of directing Pirates of the Caribbean, so he decided to hold off until he was done with the project. But Gore had no idea just how successful Pirates it resonated with all three of them. Verbinski was eager to start working on the film. They had already drawn some concept art and written a short outline of their vision, but at the time he was already in the middle of directing Pirates of the Caribbean, so he decided to hold off until he was done
working,
with the
was
project.
grinding.
But Gore had no idea just how successful Pirates of the Caribbean would be, and the one that would slowly take shape as Rango.
I think when you make sequels, the danger is you fall into a trap of the known, you know, and it was really good to get back to something that you don't know if you don't know what you're doing, kind of, in a way.
Very early on, they knew what kind of story they wanted to tell. A lizard on a journey of self-discovery. They just had to figure out what it would look like. The designers pitched an array of ideas, but there was one sketch in particular that stood out. The way it was framed allowed the team to clearly visualize the film's tone and aesthetic. A dry,
It's like
gritty world
the rugged feel, but it's not right. Yeah, that rugged feel, like
that looked and felt like an old western. This helped lay the framework for every shot, set piece, and especially the characters. If they wanted to create an authentic vibe, the creatures had to look and act like their real-life counterparts, to some extent. They chose a chameleon as the main protagonist. The obvious reason was that chameleons use camouflage to blend in, and blending in was central to the film's themes of personal identity.
like he always wants to reflect in. And they made him a chameleon. That's even as a child, I like. Okay, I'm lying, but no, I don't think that's a child. I thought about it like when I thought about this thing a couple years ago. I was like, hey, remember that one movie should just be popping up in my mind, cause like a week ago, I said randomly, I just had the feeling to watch Speed Racer again, bro. For some reason, that shit just popped in my mind. I still haven't done it.
Aquatic chameleon, which meant it couldn't naturally survive in the desert, making him seem even more out of place. They also realized that chameleons move their eyes independently, which could be utilized to convey a wide range of different expressions. The mare character had to have been there for a long time, so tortoise immediately came to mind. They thought of a lizard that freezes up in a catatonic state like some lizards do, and desert rodents that burrow and emerge from the ground. The goal was to craft an ensemble of believable characters with realistic imperfections, where the audience could understand a lot about someone and their story just by looking at them. With the setting, it made sense that the town itself would be built from found objects, scraps and junk repurposed into buildings and structures. For the cast, Johnny Depp was the first to come on board. He had already expressed interest in the role when Verbinski pitched the idea to him during the making of Pirates of the Caribbean 2, so when it came time to finally bring him on, it didn't take much convincing.
So what did he do to convince you to do it? What was the pitch?
You know what, he didn't even have to. You know, he didn't have to go through any song and dance, nothing. It was basically, he said, I got this idea of a lizard on an existential quest in epic western. And I just said, okay, well, you know, I'm in. You know.
Gore, along with a small team of artists and designers,
That'll actually sound like he drank all the time. Like, he sound like he actually Jack Sparrow, bruh. Like, when he talks. I'm just realizing, there's a reason that I forgot about what happened in this past only.
16 months working out of a house in Pasadena, California, sketching out the film's plot. At the time, there was no guarantee it would even get made, but eventually Paramount Pictures stepped in and agreed to produce and distribute Rango under Nickelodeon Movies. The partnership effectively birthed a new studio called Paramount Animation. After years of planning and deliberation, production officially began in 2008. Even though it was animated, the team was determined. Officially began in 2008. Even though
Why she looks so familiar?
Animated, the team was determined to preserve that grounded, realistic feel in the final product, so they took a unique approach. Rather than using motion capture, they used traditional keyframe-based CGI, but the actors weren't just recording their lines in booths. Verbinski had them perform the scenes together on a stage, with props and costumes, acting everything out physically so the animators could capture the energy and realism of a live performance. The cast members noted that that at times they felt ridiculous doing it.
Well, initially it felt ridiculous, you know what I mean? All the actors felt really stupid.
Plenty of animated movies used real footage for
Wait.
just ridiculous.
Oh, nah, this shit kind of fun though, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Out physically so the animators could capture the energy and realism of a live performance. The cast members noted that at
that shit did feel like, yeah, that's fire though. Cause the animation was crazy on this movie, boy.
times they felt ridiculous doing
Like
it.
away from the story and everything like that, bruh. The animation alone was fire. The snake looked so fire with the gun and the sound effects with the gun. Bruh, that shit was crazy.
Felt ridiculous, you know what I mean? All the actors felt really stupid.
Plenty of animated movies used real footage for reference, but this was another level. It added extra costs and consumed more time. But Gore
Bruh, that
Verbinski
snake
simply
creeped me the fuck out when I was a child, say.
didn't know any other way. Directing actors on a physical stage was what he was used to, and he wanted to stay within his comfort zone. But this commitment to realism, to making Rango feel
Look
like
at that,
a
he
true
look like a wallpaper, boy.
Western was where some felt the film began pushing the boundaries a little too far. Rango drew heavy inspiration from classic movies like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Chinatown, and The Shakiest Gun in the West. It even included multiple direct references to those many others. Those films, among many others.
You son of a... Just a dirty son of a...
In most movies from that era, especially westerns, characters were often seen smoking or drinking alcohol. Smoking reflected the historical presence of tobacco use in the Old West and its glamorization in Hollywood throughout the 20th century. The creators of Rango felt that a western movie without characters smoking wouldn't feel authentic. It was a key element of the western aesthetic. Additionally, they realized that most of the audience members who would actually catch the references were adults, so they gradually leaned into mature jokes, stronger language, and subtle nods.
Boy, think about it. All the shows and movies that I remember, or like I think are the best, were the movies that were enjoyed both adults and children, because they live longer, because you enjoy them as a child, just because they fire, like, you know what I'm saying, just for like entertainment. And you go back as an adult and you actually you watch it again and you see it with like a developed mind. Like, it's like makes the movie even better, bruh. So all those motherfuckers that be hating that shit, saying it's like not good for kids and shit, shut the fuck up, bruh.
Standard kids movie. The directors, writers, producers, and actors were all determined to push the boundaries of what an animated film could be. And for better or worse, that's what they did.
You might say I'm from everywhere there's trouble brewing and hell waiting to be raised. You might say I'm what hell's already raised up. Name's Rango.
Rango officially premiered in March 2011, and for the most part, critics were impressed. The movie
I don't even feel like too long ago.
Style with fluid animation, and while the story clearly drew from many influences, it still felt fresh and inventive. It was funny, sincere, and by the end, genuinely inspirational.
I had such a great time watching this movie. It is not at all what I would expect from an animated film. It doesn't feel like an animated film to me.
Great Western. If you like Westerns, you will like Rango. In fact, you might just love it.
It's Gore Verbinski's best film.
This is probably the best CGI animation I had ever seen.
Each character stood out in their own way, brought to life by a stellar cast. Johnny Depp was especially praised as a perfect choice for the lead, often described as a chameleon for his ability to transform into vastly different roles. He was hilarious, yet also also nailed the emotional beats perfectly. Rango was a breath of fresh air that actually had something to say. It even ended up winning the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature.
Someone asked me if this film was for kids, and I don't know, but it was certainly created by a bunch of grown-ups acting like children.
But while reviews were mostly positive, the acclaim wasn't unanimous. No one could deny that the film featured cutting-edge animation and standout performances.
Who genuinely looks at a movie, looks at the critic reviews and decides for themselves, or the critic don't like this thing, I'm not watch it. Like, genuinely, who does that shit, bro? Whoever does do that shit, like, I don't want my movie to be liked by you. You're not the type of person it's for, you know what I'm saying? So, again, shut the fuck up. Motherfuckers just need to learn how to just go on with their lives, you know what I'm saying?
Rango was rated PG, like many Pixar and DreamWorks titles. In the lead up to its release, it was marketed as a family-friendly animated movie, but that wasn't exactly what audiences got. As reviews started pouring in, more and more parents were expressing their disappointment. They described it as having offensive language and suggestive comments. They used several curse words, there's a lot of crude behavior, also splattered uses of mild sexual content, including a reference to lesbians that my 11-year-old picked right up on. This should have been rated higher because of the language and violence. I cringed every time.
How do I go sideways? She's the one who wrote this, bruh. I already know. She's the exact person that wrote this. We need but
Time I heard language, I knew my 7-year-old would repeat for shock value. To have a movie masquerading as family-friendly that is not is offensive beyond belief. Like all movie releases, some people's reactions were extreme, but even those who liked it were confused about who the film was for.
It's an animated movie, but it's not.
That shit right there. What's that thing? Mr. Fox.
Were confused about
The Fantastic Mr. Fox or some shit. This shit was fire. What's up? I've never seen another movie like this ever, with like this animation style.
Film was for.
It's an animated movie, but it's not really for kids.
It's very adult. It is very adult.
It's definitely very adult.
I don't get like who the movie's made for.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like all the jokes are for the.
Whose movies normally made for? Are people stupid?
The parents.
This is not a kids film. Even though it's put out through like Nickelodeon and it's rated PG, it's not a children's film.
At the end of the day, the creators weren't trying to trick audiences.
Oh shit, this is a R rating. Hold on. What's a adult movie that got PG? Literally the whole MCU, right? Literally the whole of the MCU except like the shit that the rating don't mean shit, bro. That nigga did a dense spoil.
At the end of the day, the creators
Just I can count your teeth on one hand except.
Weren't trying to trick audiences into corrupting their children. Obviously, it was all in service of making something that fit their vision.
It's not G, you know. Right. It says parental guidance suggested. You know? So you should, as a parent, I think, and I'm a parent, you should, you know, use some guidance.
Still, a lot of the references and most of
He spits in though, boy. He spits in. That's exactly what I said, bruh. Be a better parent, sir.
Directed at adults, and there were multiple scenes involving character deaths, as well as mentions of hanging and other forms of violence. corporate look that families had come to expect. Instead, it was rough and dark, much like the Mojave Desert setting and the characters who inhabited it. But the mature language wasn't even the biggest complaint about Rango. Many parents and advocacy
You mean the setting of the movie fits the plotline and everything is cohesive? That's such a shit movie, bruh.
groups were shocked by just how much smoking appeared on screen. According to Breathe California, the Sacramento anti-smoking organization, there were at least 60 instances of smoking in the film. The only other animated film to match Rango was 101 Dalmatians. They went as far as labeling the movie a public health hazard. People believed that the creators
it's also a public health hazard, say fentanyl. How about that? How about you fix that, instead of worrying about a fucking animated movie?
were encouraging the use of tobacco and that it would lead kids into doing it themselves. The combined
I
outrage
play
of
GTA, I wanna kill someone. Like, what is this, bruh? This is actually makes sense for the time, though. 2011, this is how people were thinking, etc.
parents and organizations sparked a collective campaign to get Rango an R rating. Despite their efforts, the petitions had no effect, and the film retained its PG rating. Yet, it didn't stop there. The film also faced significant backlash from certain religious circles, not just for its language, death,
What? This only religious thing I can remember is that nun, etc. The nun with no eyes, a big ass nose. She got a shows on her.
itself. On Rango's journey of self-discovery, there are multiple mentions of a mythical gunslinger known as the Spirit of the West.
This is my quest. He waits for me.
What? Who?
The Spirit of the West, amigo.
Rango even has
Hold
a
on, you
spiritual
spit in there, boy. This is my quest. The Spirit of the West.
encounter with the character near the end of the movie. The figure he meets is essentially a Clint Eastwood archetype, who appears as a quiet guide and mentor during Rango's lowest moment. He's referenced repeatedly throughout the film, with characters treating him as a godlike being. There's a scene where the animals gather around a fire, hold hands, and pray to him, ending with an amen.
Thank you, Spirit of the West. Amen.
Because of how the film frames this character, some online communities claimed it was mocking Christianity.
I wasn't even in my mind, boy. On some real shit, etc. And let me tell you something, bruh. My mama and my stepbody fucking religious as fuck, and they let me watch the movie. They didn't do any of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll always have too much time to complain about shit that don't matter, I won't lie.
Many of which gave it a moral rating of offensive. Additionally, the townspeople placed their faith in the mayor, who manipulates the water scarcity to his advantage, stating that if you control
Kinda like most politicians, if not all, except.
water, you control everything. Some viewers interpreted this as a metaphor for religious leaders using faith to control people and maintain power. In some spaces, the movie
They ain't got nothing to do with fate, it's literally like manipulating resources, etc.
became a target of moral panic, with claims that it
That
was
gotta do with anything with religion, bruh.
going to corrupt children. The movie is spiritual but worships the wrong god, the Spirit of the West, who actually appears in man form near the end of the movie.
Sustain
Many
sync.
references to the way we worship Jesus, God, are used to worship this false god, with amen and hallelujah used frequently. I felt this movie has the potential to plant a seed in young viewers to associate religious leaders with the mayor, since they have used so many religious buzzwords with him, and possibly cause the kids to have a bad feeling about religion and its leaders, and that they may feel silly by God, but rather sums it all up that spirituality is a hoax. Characters that have been identified as stupid, ugly looking, and just plain turn your stomach are shown praying and doing activities associated with Christianity. This movie by Nickelodeon seemed to be yet another subversive attack on religion, specifically Christianity, with impressionable children as the target audience. The reptile hero stands as a non-believer's version of Christ, a nobody coming from nowhere who creates his identity, making it
Hold on, I wasn't paying attention.
This movie by Nickelodeon seemed to be yet another subversive attack on religion, specifically Christianity, with impressionable children as the target audience. The reptile hero
I ain't got nothing more to say. I already said what I needed to say.
stands as a non-believer's version of Christ, a nobody coming from nowhere who creates his identity, making it up as he goes along. The mayor tells him everyone needs something to believe in. Right now they believe in you. The concept here is that faith is a good thing, but has nothing to do with reality or truth. Sexual talk, violence, murder, lies, profanity, references to the pit, praying to a spirit and not God. Wake up, people. Satan is trying to reach your children at an early age. As a Christian parent, I have to strongly recommend you keep your children from this movie. Most of the concerns people had were pretty over the top, and the creators
This is a movie, 1.5 hour long animated movie about a fucking comedian becoming a sheriff of a desert town, etc.
Rango had no malicious intent behind the film. There's always going to be parents that overanalyze movies, but Rango did provide them with plenty of ammo to fuel their interpretations. It's darker, more vulgar, and bleaker than most animated movies, even by today's standards. But there are millions of people who watched it when they were young and loved it. Maybe it should have received a higher suitability rating, or maybe it should have been marketed differently. Regardless, the filmmakers made the movie they wanted to make, and to this day, there's nothing quite like it.
Hey, shout out to Brewski. Oh, it was Brewski's video. Say you got 5 videos. Makes sense. You on the come out, 27k up next. So 27k subs, this shit 1.5 million views. Shout out to the so exciting, I'm saying. 5 video, 5.